This is Reframe, the podcast from the College of Education, Health, and Society on the campus of Miami University in Oxford, Ohio. The world is clearly changing, and so is education. So this episode is about learning to unlearn what we know about teaching and schooling. And we'll hear from some of those involved in a new project that's challenging what it could mean, or even what it should mean, to be a teacher today. She only had 3 minutes, that's all. 3 minutes to convince the Miami Women Giving Circle to provide grant funding during the inaugural 2018 Hawk Tank event. But Megan Cremeans, a Miami University sophomore studying integrated social studies and political science, didn't even need that long. Her persuasive, fast-paced presentation about a promising new project was finished in just over 2. Here she is, taking the stage, addressing an audience of donors during the Hawk Tank event.
So I was going to let you in on a little secret, and I decided against it, because you already know the secret. And it's some kids hate school. They hate school. A simple Google search, if you type in, why does school make me? The first answers that are going to come up are, why does school make me depressed? Why does school make me sad? And why does school make me suicidal? Some of our students hate school, and our teachers recognize this problem, and they're really trying their best. They have their best intentions, but it's not working.
The voting was equally fast-paced, hosted online, in real time, and afterwards, the Giving Circle awarded Cremeans and her team nearly $10,000. The grant will go towards creating a new community-based action project for future teachers, which is called CAP for short, which promises to help educators become more critically minded, culturally relevant, and better equipped to help more students succeed. Starting this fall, CAP will be piloted in a class called EDT 190, which is an Introduction to Education course offered by the College of Education, Health, and Society, where the focus on diversity, empowerment, and transformative teaching and learning is already underway. And during her presentation, Cremeans also offered an eye-opening statistic, one that underscores another growing problem in schools today.
Currently, 84 to 90% of teachers in America are white women. Clearly, our students don't look like that. In 2014, our students passed 50% non-white. We recognize that this is a problem. We recognize that we need experiences to better deal with diversity in our communities and better find ways to help our students.
So why do some students hate school? Why is school not working? One reason, in part, is that traditional schooling often prioritizes the needs and interests of certain students while ignoring or underserving others. When considering students across race, class, gender, and orientation, many public schools still abide a system that unintentionally reinforces an array of inequitable cultural biases. Non-white students, for example, who don't see themselves reflected in the curriculum, can find it hard to relate to or engage with the content. In other cases, some learners may fall behind in classrooms that stress memorization and standardization over curiosity, active participation, and a kind of personalized engagement that they may otherwise need. And when viewed through a critical lens, these trends start to tell a story. It's a story about who gets included, who gets excluded, and why. And this can start to have big implications for the future of schools, especially when considering those who may be attracted to the teaching profession. Here's Dr. Scott Sander, EHS clinical faculty instructor and CAP team leader.
It's pretty intuitive that if you're good at school, then you might decide to be a teacher, but if school becomes this place that's very alienating and marginalizing, you won't even think twice about teaching.
And this is a problem that both EDT 190, that introductory course to education, and the forthcoming CAP project are designed to address. Both reflect the EHS mission to create transformative leaders and to challenge students to become critically conscious curriculum makers. Both are also about recognizing a need to update the standard K-12 educational system by exposing future educators to new ways of thinking about teaching, learning, and schooling. The goal is to get new teachers to better understand how to engage all kinds of different students, especially those who have been alienated in some way. Sanders sees much of the class as an unlearning process, and it involves breaking down and critically exploring many of the cultural assumptions and common narratives that most students have been told about schooling throughout most of their lives. Throughout the class, Sander wants students to thoughtfully consider the historical context of school, the philosophy behind education, what it means to actually quote-unquote learn, and why embracing diversity through culturally relevant teaching can actually help marginalized students succeed. It's a progressive approach, one that diverges from most introductory teacher preparation courses. Here, the very basic fundamentals of teaching are not about creating lesson plans. It's not about grading papers or learning how to make tests. It's a class where students can begin thinking about the fundamental role of teachers, as well as the past, present, and future purposes of schooling in general. Here's Megan Cremeans again.
Miami and EDT 190 really pride themselves on being immersive and critical when it comes to educating teachers. So your EDT 190 class is your first class, and you just come in and you're like, well, I'm going to learn how to be a teacher. I'm going to learn how to grade papers and make tests and make bulletin boards and make kids stand in line. And EDT 190 is kind of breaking that mold and just saying, actually, no. There's so much more to it. You're dealing with growing and developing minds, and we're going to teach you not how to, teach at kids, but learn and grow with kids and help to become really critical, empowered teachers so that you can teach critical and empowered students.
So this class, EDT 190, is about planting these seeds. It's about building a foundation. And CAP, the Community-Based Action Project, will advance this mission by expanding the course far beyond the classroom.
I think this new thing that we're doing, this CAP project that we're doing, is giving you the experiential tools to be immersive and to be critical and to look at your surroundings and to be culturally relevant and all these things that we talk about, but for real life. And you really do it. So I think it's more powerful and it's more direct and it's really hitting at that heart of EDT 190.
The project is currently in the design phase, and CAP is being overseen by Sander, Cremeans, and a team of 5 additional EHS students who are now connecting EDT 190 course content with people and places across Miami and Oxford, Ohio. Recently, for example, Cremeans met with Dr. Rodney Coates, a Miami University professor of Black World Studies, and they discussed existing campus resources that could link Miami's history with social justice with contemporary issues that are now happening in society today. And similar efforts are also exploring additional connections that will give students an opportunity to develop a deeper sense of place at Miami. So far, they're considering content and activities around places like the Western College for Women, which was established in 1855 and merged with the university in 1974, as well as historic events like Oxford's role in the 1964 civil rights voter registration drive known as Freedom Summer, and even the university's long-standing and ongoing partnership with the Native American Miami tribe of Oklahoma. And that's just the beginning. These are just a few of the places, events, and partnerships that the CAP project hopes to weave into class content.
This idea of service learning was the impetus for this project. I think it's super important that students know more about Oxford, the space they infiltrate 9 months a year. What do they actually know about it? So I think I wanted to create this home for some of the stories I think that have powerful implications for EDT 190 and future teachers.
Among these implications being, how do you work alongside a community? How do you feel more connected to your environment? Why were these organizations and events originally established? And what do they help us understand about ourselves and about each other? And even though it won't officially become part of a restructured EDT 190 until the fall of 2019, the Community-Based Action Project for Future Teachers has already begun to prove its worth.
I think it's been reaffirming almost as a student who had taken the class that, we learned that teachers listen to their students and then take them on and then help them learn and grow. And now I'm seeing a real life example when Dr. Sanders hey, you were my student, but let's take this on together and let's learn how to change it. And that's been really impactful for me personally.
Megan Cremeans is a Miami University sophomore studying integrated social studies and political science. And there are many more episodes of our podcast available right now on SoundCloud and on iTunes, where we'd love to hear your thoughts and feedback.